Tashdila to everyone, and welcome to the Tibetan Conversation class. And today we're going to discuss some important phrases that we use in our day-to-day conversation. So, like we discussed, for example, the aphorism and the idioms are very much used, especially in places where there is a greater understanding of relating these aphorism and examples towards the real life understanding. And so some of these aphorisms are used widely within the group of people who lived in a locality, and so they have a local aphorism which is related to their own day-to-day life. And so these phrases, as you will see, are phrases that are used quite often in our day-to-day life, and it is one's own preference to actually integrate them in one's conversation dialogue or not. So before we get to the actual lesson, let us begin with the aphorism for today. So this is actually a relatively, so in the past few days we have been introduced to some aphorisms, and this is a relatively more known aphorism that is known widely throughout the people. So it states, let me repeat this again. So what does this mean? So the translation is, the heartfelt words of concern are never sweet to hear. The healing medicines are never good in taste. It means that when someone is concerned about you, when someone is actually concerned about you, they will only give you the truth and the reality of the things. They will not try to sugarcoat things. They will not try to make them seem more sweeter, much better. They will provide you with the truth as it is, without any manipulation to the words. And many a times we find that we are in certain place or certain situation where the truth that we encounter, the truth that we live, is something that is not very pleasant to hear. And so therefore we are unable, what we think is that the person is telling something which is rude and harsh, but in reality is that the person is telling something which is directly related to one's truth. So therefore, a heartfelt words of concern is never sweet to hear. And similarly, the example is provided. So many of the aphorisms in Tibet, Tibetan aphorisms, function in this structure, that the first one is the meaning and the second one is the example. And this particular way of providing examples and meaning is also used in the Sakya lecture by Sakya Pandita, in which he provides advice on how to how to live a fulfilled life, both in the samsaric perspective as well as in the dharmic perspective. And there were many texts like this in those times, mostly very popularized in the times of 11th to 13th century, where people were writing many of these kind of texts, in which they give examples of how to live a fulfilled life in one's samsaric life, as well as to have a certain balance with both the daily aspect of the life, the worldly aspect of the life, and the dharmic aspect of the life. So, and because of this, there have been interesting debates. Some of the more renowned scholars have this idea that dharma and samsara should be separate, whereas there have been other perspective where some scholars have said that dharma and samsaric life are not separate in the aspect that they are totally separate from each other and that are not dependent on each other. But it must also be understood that different scholars looked at a different aspect of this particular argument. So, therefore, the aphorism for today is the heartfelt words of concern are never sweet to hear. The healing medicines are never good in taste. Okay, so now let us begin with our lesson. And today we are going to discuss 5 or 6 phrases which are commonly used, and few of which you might have also heard. A few of which is what you might have also heard. Okay, let's get on with this. So the first one, let me see if I can get this. Yes. I hope now this is much clearer. Sampa Hundrup. Sampa Hundrup. You see that it's made from 2 words. First is Sampa, second one is Hundrup. Sampa Hundrup, which means spontaneous fulfillment of wishes. So it's a phrase that we use both in the context, both in the idea of, for example, an aspiration that something might happen, for something to happen, and as well as wishing someone that in a way that you wish someone for something like this. So it's a word of wishing someone. It's a word that is usually associated with wishing something for someone. It's a word of wishing. So spontaneous fulfillment of wishes, Sampa Hundrup. And some of you might also be familiar with the name with the name of the prayer text that is also with the same name, which is Sampa Hundrup. Okay, so let me read the definition. So these are very general definitions of the word. They are not in particular like the ones which we have learned while we studied the descriptive word. Those are more technical and specific definition. These are definitions which are of the more general usage. So the definition are more lenient in comparison. So, Sambal Hundru ki tuni, Rangi ki tumba, Jishi Samba teo, Parchieta kawa kanya mepar trupe tunla koku. Okay? Sambal Hundru ki tuni, let me repeat this again. Rangi ki tumba, Jishi Samba te, Parchieta kawa kanya mepar trupe tunla koku. So what does this mean? So spontaneous fulfillment of wish means the fulfillment of whatever aspiration one has without any difficulty or obstacles. So it means, so when we use this particular word in a sentence, we address this to either self, we address it by using it with self in order to cite or to recite or to state one's aspiration, one's wishes, one's hope. And when we use it with others, we wish upon someone to have the similar meaning. We wish someone to have the similar thing. So it can be addressed with self and others. So penna champagne ki lo yuna chawa thamje sambal hundrubre. Penna champagne ki lo yuna chawa thamje sambal hundrubre. Okay, so for example, if altruistic mind is present, then every action is spontaneous fulfillment of one's wishes. So let us go back here. So one's wishes. So if altruistic mind is present, then every action is spontaneous fulfillment of one's wishes. Okay. The second example. Kerangi miyu sambal hundru yongwe melam shu. So kerangi miyu sambal hundru yongwe melam shu. It means I wish for a spontaneous fulfillment of your objectives. Migu, which means Migu can be understood, is translated in few ways. It could be understood as one's motivation, one's motive, one's ambition, one's objective. So here it is understood as objective. So can give me sambal melam shu. Shu is a more respectful way of saying that I pray for you. And shu can change its meaning depending on which particular word. For example, if we say gongba shu, it means I submit my application. Samsu shu, which means I state my opinion. And here it is used with wish, so it will be understood as I wish. So I wish for a spontaneous fulfillment of your objectives. Okay, so this is the two examples of the phrase Sambal Hundrup. You can either use it for once, or you can also use it for general. Like here, the first example is a more general. It's neither addressed to self nor addressed to others. It's more general understanding, in which it neither states as an aspiration of self or wishing anyone anything. It's just a general usage in which it is a state where all these aspirations or wishes are fulfilled spontaneously. So it's a noun if you use it in a more general sense. So this is the usage of the word sambal hundrup. Now, this is another word which may seem very similar. It's chisam hundrup. Fulfill all wishes. Chi is a generalized particle which refers to any or every or all here in this case. Chi sam means whatever that has been thought, whatever that has come to one's mind is called chi sam. Turn drup means will be fulfilled, will fulfill, will achieve, will be complete. So chisam turn drup, which means fulfill all wishes. Chisam turn drup ki turn ni rani ki chi shi debe samba chungwa te tamjen drupar kogu. Let me repeat this. Chisam turn drup ki turn ni rani ki chi shi debe samba chungwa te tamje drupar kogu. Fulfill all wishes means all the wishes that one may have will fulfill. That is, whatever one has thought that they need to have, one have wished for something to happen, will be fulfilled. So, chisam tundru. Penna. Lo sabar kenam ki chisam tundru hongwar menam yu. So this is also a word of wishing someone. It's a word to wish someone. And it's also a sort of greetings. It's also a sort of a greetings. It's like tashidele, but used in an auspicious occasion. Definitely, you can also use tashidele for auspicious, because I told you, tashidele is, in my opinion, the best greeting that is in Tibetan. So, greet anyone. And maybe that is the reason why it is the most popular amongst all the greetings in Tibetan. So when you wish something, when you pray for someone, or when you wish something good upon others, for example, it's a very common type of wishing that the elderly does for young people. They say "Tsiringkyu," which means may you have a long life. When, for example, if you greet someone, an elderly, for example, if you greet them, oh, tashidele, for example, if there is like an old person, let's say a grandmother sitting there, we say tashidele momola, and it's a very common reply by many of the elderly to say tashidele tsiringkyu. They will not call your name. Instead, they will just say tsiringkyu, which means may you have a long life. Therefore, so this is a very common type of greeting. So therefore, this particular word, chisam tuntrup, is also a sense of greeting, but it is used in a very auspicious, for example, like in New Year's or any, for example, in a new year or something that is beginning. You use it when someone is beginning something. For example, someone might be opening a shop. Someone might be going for further studies. Someone might be immigrating to a foreign country for a better life. So at that time, you can wish them chisam tundrup yo melam yue. Chisam tundrup ongwar melam yue, which means I pray that may every wish be fulfilled. So I pray that I pray for all your wishes to be fulfilled. That is the meaning of the word chisam tundru onwar melam yue. Melam means I pray. So melam means to pray. So you see that it is used usually when you are greeting someone and telling someone that I pray that may all your aspirations be fulfilled, or may all of your wishes be fulfilled. Now the second example is Tachisam Tundrup Sho. Now this is a word of commanding. It's a word of command. It's an imperative command. So it is in a way commanding. Either it could be a sort of, you can command, for example, if you're a practitioner, you can definitely use it to command a deity. So in that way, to command someone, you say Tachisam Tundrup Sho, which means may I fulfill all my wishes now, meaning may all my wishes be fulfilled now. So it's more an imperative usage here. Most of the thing is that you will notice this so those of you who are doing daily prayers, you will notice these lines which ends with shock, shock, shock. These are all lines of these are not only lines of aspiration, these are also lines in which you are commanding something to happen. You're affirming and commanding something to happen. So it's an imperative. It's a companion word for an imperative form. Lasso. Now the second phrase, the third phrase is Kengchung Mengchung. And this, maybe many of you have heard this. Kengchung Mengchung Mache or Kengchung Mengchung Redo. So Kengchung Mengchung means whatever. So Kengchung Mengchung ki tuani. Obo am leka Kengchung Chung le tonang kaya mache be tuan la kogu. Let me repeat this again. Kengchung Mengchung ki tuani. Obo am leka Kengchung Chung le tonang kaya mache be tuan la kogu. Whatever means to provide whatever object is available, or doing a work with a lack of attention or concern. So doing whatever, meaning that one lacks the attention or concern about attention while doing something, and concern for the consequence of such actions. So when it's associated with object, it means anything or whatever kind of object. Means that it is an object which is there without its purpose, meaning that it is brought there not on the basis of its purpose or what it might be used for, but it is just there because one has just brought it. That one doesn't care if it's going to be useful or not. When it's associated with the work, it means when someone is doing a work, they are not paying attention and they don't have any concern of what the consequences will be of such action. Penna, keja kengchung mengchung xie mirung. Let me repeat this. Penna, kecha kengchung mengchung she mirung. For example, it is not proper to speak whatever, meaning that it is not proper to speak whatever that comes to one's mind. That the things that you say have consequences. It may not have a direct consequences or an instant consequences, but it will leave impression. And so it will later on catch up. So therefore, it is not proper to speak whatever. One must pay attention to what they are speaking, and one should have concern about the consequences of the words they are speaking. Second example, Kala kangchung mangchung sana lupo la nugire. Let me repeat this. Kala kangchung mangchung sana lupo la nugire. If you eat whatever food, then it will harm your health. Lupo here actually can be translated to body, but then here it has been translated to health, to a more broader understanding. Because the thing is that if you eat unhealthy, it will affect one's physical state. And if the physical state is affected, then the mental state is affected by the change of the physical state. So therefore, just not only saying body here, we have referred to the entire state of health. So if you eat whatever food, then it will harm your health. Kala kangchung mangchung sana lupo la nugire, which means in this case, it means whatever food, meaning that the food is not consumed to sustain. It is not consumed in a way that one is considering their physical health and mental health. They are just consuming whatever is being provided or whatever that one can get their hands on. So kangchung mangchu, without a proper understanding of what should be eaten and what shouldn't be. That's so. Now the fourth is chicha tulme. Chicha tulme. This is something I think we have already seen this particular usage. Most probably in previous classes. Chicha tulme, which means uncertain of what to do. Tul means a certainty. Tulme means uncertainty, no certainty. Chicha means what. Cha means to do. So chicha tulme means uncertain of what to do. Chicha tulme ki tuini rangi nedan shina yobata tene kan che me kaya ma shepe la kogu. Let me repeat this. Chicha tulme ki tuini rangi nedan shina yobata tene kan che me kaya ma shepe la kogu. Uncertain of what to do means not knowing what to do or not to do. When one is in a peculiar situation, when one is in a difficult situation, not knowing what to do after that, whether one should do something or one should not do something. So in a state of shock and in a state of inability to do anything. So mentally unable to analyze and process the situation, to have a understanding and calculated action. So uncertain of what to do. Chicha döme. Perna, kasan gyudru ki desen tame chiwan namla le ma shitu chicha döme to gyursong. Let me repeat this again. Kasan gyudru ki desen tame chiwan namla le ma shitu chicha döme to gyursong. For example, I became uncertain of what to do yesterday when I was unable to answer the questions of the final section of the test. So because one glanced upon the question in the final section and one came to the realization that there was simply nothing in that final section that they could answer or they knew the answer to. So they become uncertain of what to do, whether they should answer something by just guessing things or whether they should leave it. Okay, now the second example. 这是给老多卡巴勒图，空气这对面都流送。Let me repeat this again. 这是给老多卡巴勒图，空气这对面都流送。哦，这对面都流送。Here we use the word 流送。流送 means to become. 流送 means to be left. So to be left in the state, or to become, or to be in the state. So 这是给老托卡巴勒图，空气这对面都流送。这是 was left uncertain, left because lu, the word lu, and here became because of the word kur, which is the past form, and lu is also the past form. So Tishi was left uncertain of what to do when he lost his mobile phone. Mobile phone, because it was the word used here is laktok. Laktok means a phone that is on, like we have the word laptop, right? It means hand top, something that's on the hand. So the mobile phone. So 这是给老多卡巴勒图空气这对面都流送。这是 was left uncertain of what to do when he lost his mobile phone. Okay, now the next phrase is 旁灭龙绝。旁灭龙绝。Unwholesome consumption. So there will be two different understanding of this. Unwholesome consumption in the concept of the samsaric understanding, and unwholesome consumption in the context of the Vinaya. So there will be two understanding for this. And both of these are very different. There are different parameters. There are different factors in dividing it. So 旁灭龙绝 unwholesome consumption. 旁灭龙绝qui tuni rangni la göbalen hakbar long绝bala kogu. Let me repeat this and understand that all of these definitions are very general definitions. 旁灭龙绝qui tuni rangni la göbalen hakbar long绝bala kogu. Unwholesome consumption means to use a resource excessively or more than which is needed to sustain. For example, we have the excess usage of resources. So these are known as unwholesome consumption, and this definition is on the basis of the samsaric perspective. So unwholesome consumption means to use a resource excessively or more than which is needed to sustain. For example, to indulge in unnecessary luxury. Definitely, the three basic needs are must to sustain, to live, to proper functioning. One must eat enough to work to a particular level. One should have a proper place with safety, so that one is safe from any external harm. One should have clothes that protects them from weathers, the changes in weather situation. But excessive use to utilize certain resource in an excess which is not needed, but which is considered to be a luxury, is considered to be unwholesome consumption. Penna 旁灭龙绝切本因呐，让等闲忙不了，容易马的。Let me repeat this. 旁灭龙绝切本因呐，让等闲忙不了，容易马的。For example, if one indulge in unwholesome consumption, then it is not appropriate for the self and many others. Not appropriate for self because one is indulging in these things, so this understanding will come in the second example, but for others, because there are many who are devoid of even the basic needs. So therefore, unwholesome consumption becomes not unappropriate. It becomes not appropriate. Second example, 旁边龙雀你旁边被根线你龙雀贴当牛毛哈不这边这。Let me repeat this one. 旁边龙雀你旁边被根线你龙雀贴当牛毛 It is unwholesome consumption because it is mixed with an excessive affliction. So the unwholesome consumption could be because of the three afflictions of the mind. One, because of the ignorance that one doesn't know that it is an unwholesome consumption. Second, because there is a sort of an ego there, which is done. So unwholesome consumption is done in order to fill that particular ego of oneself. And once is because one has great attachment towards things that they might indulge in excessive or unwholesome consumption. So, like I said, it is not proper for self because these type of consumption is mixed with an excessive affliction, meaning that they come with a great afflicted mind, meaning that the affliction of mind is very great when one indulges in these sort of consumption. So let me repeat this. So this is Now the final phrase is vanished without trace. Ne kanshi to sonwa tene mashepa la kokyo. Karson chame ki tuni ne kanshi to sonwa tene mashepa la kokyo. Vanished without trace means not knowing at all where something or someone is gone. Okay, so something or someone can vanish, can disappear without even a single trace. So meaning vanished without trace. Penna mite shingna la chine ta ni sumring kason chame to kyurtu. Mite shingna la chine ta ni sumring kason chame to kyurtu. For example, that person has vanished without trace for 3 days after going in the forest. That person has vanished without trace for 3 days after going in the forest. Lamsur chongba the duntrangama ne karson chame redu. Let me repeat this. Lamsur chongba the duntrangama ne karson chame redu. Lamsur means at the side of the road. Chongba means a shopkeeper or a vendor or merchant. So a merchant or a vendor or a shopkeeper that sells things at the side of the road. So you may notice these a lot in most places, also in India. Especially those who have visited Dharamsala, you have witnessed this a lot, even in the main market, as well as the road, that particular inclined road from the main market to the His Holiness's temple. You see at the site there are many street vendors selling different things, some selling ornaments, some selling shawls, socks, to different things. Okay, so the street vendor is Lamsur Chongpa. The street vendor is vanished without trace since last week. So the street vendor has vanished without trace since last week. Okay. And okay, now this is the final phrase. It is Chitra Kantra. Whatever and whichever is best. Whatever and whichever is best. Chitra Kantra ki tuni tavshe kan sansanta kan nunu chebar kogu. Let me repeat this. Chitra Kantra ki tuni tavshe kan sansanta kan nunu chebar kogu. Whatever and whichever is best means to do something best to one's ability and to do as best as possible, to do something to the best of one's ability, meaning that to do something with one's, to do everything in one's power to make it the best thing possible. So chitra kantra, whatever and whichever is best. Penna. Laki lopti chindra kantra chepatar ngansu rumde yapo chungsong. Let me repeat this. Gen la ki lob ti chitra khantra che patar nga chue tumte ya ko song. For example, just as teacher has taught in whatever and whichever is best manner, our result has come out to be good. So also observe the sentences. Sometimes the sentence may not be in the best structure, meaning that they might not be proper. But the thing is that it is written in this way so that you can directly compare the Tibetan and the English statements to see the words that have been translated. To see the words that have been translated in the English for the Tibetan word. So in this way, you can also study the vocabulary. So this is the reason why some of them, even though it may not sound very nice, it may not sound very proper, but are written or are stated in that exact way. Chitra kantra ki shenpe churo. Chitra kantra ki shenpe churo. Chu, it's imperative. Ro is request. Imperative as request. Please help others or others in whatever and whichever is best of ability. So please help others. Please aid others in whatever best to the best of one's ability. Okay, so these are the six phrases that we'll be discussing today, and I have used them in the example dialogues so that you might also see how they are used in dialogue instead of just example sentences. So dialogue 1. Kansa tangbo. Kamsang. Kamsang. So we are very familiar with this greeting. We have either tashi dele, we have kamsang, or we have shopa dele, chiro dele, kung kamsang. So kamsang. I wish you a good health. Kansa nipa. Kamsang. Nge kenala roba kang che gwesam. I too wish you a good health. What assistance do you require from me? So one may think that a better structuring for this would be, how may I assist you? But the problem is that we don't have the word how in this sentence in Tibetan. We have the word kang, and kang is usually translated as what. So therefore we have structured in a way that we still retain the actual word in English, rather than changing it into a word that might sound better, but is not the word that has been used in Tibetan. I too wish you a good health. What assistance do you require from me? Kamsang. Nye kena la rokpa kang che kwesam. Kansa tangbo. La. Nye lo le te kasang chitro ne lega che ki mintu. Nye tawshi chitra kantra chen yinte pen to mason. Let me repeat this. La. Nye lo le te kasang chitro ne lega che ki mintu. Nye tawshi chitra kantra che yinte pen to mason. So you see the usage of the one of the phrases here. So yes, my computer is not working since yesterday, and I have tried whatever and whichever is the best, but it was not helpful. Lasso, kalyo mare, nge keki na la lemi shi ponki in. La, lasso, kalyo mare, nge keki na la lemi shi ponki in. Okay, it is not an issue. Kelyo mare can be understood as no problem. It is not an issue. No need to worry. No need to worry is more like semte manaro. And if you want to be more respectful, you can say tukte manaro. Tuk is the honorific of the word sim. So it means please don't worry. So kelyo mare is more like it's not an issue. It's not a problem. It's not a trouble. So kalyo mare. So in the colloquial system, maybe due to the normalization of the word ke, or or more influence of the original language. Sometimes you can hear the word keomare. So kaliomare. And both of these are not incorrect because both of these are correct. One is more strongly influenced by the original dialect of the northern Tibet, and the more north central Tibet. Okay, it is not an issue. I'll send a picture to assist you. Person to assist you. Laso kaliomare niekegi nala lemi shi dongki. Lemi could be understood as a person or as a staff. Kadinche nga tada lole tole lega mangbo chegyu ha yebe kasane chija deme to gyursong. Let me repeat this. Kadinche nga tada lole to lega mangbo chegyu ha yebe kasane chija deme to gyursong. Thank you. I have a lot of work left to do on the computer, and so I have become uncertain of what to do. So, let me repeat this. Kadinche, which is thank you, or I'm grateful to you. Similar thing. Tukjeche or kadinche. Nga tata lole to lega mangbo chegyul ha yebe kasane chija deme to kyursong. Okay. Lasso. Gen. Here you see the difference. So you see and this is something that is a very argumentative. It's arguable. It's something that's still in argue. It's still in discussion, and the scholars are still having a full-on debate on these things. So the usage of this, where was it? Yes. This is particularly used for teacher. It's a short form of the word gege. So gege has been made short in the word ge here. You see here, right? And this was argued. The ge is also used for the word elderly, someone who is senior, or elderly, someone you respect. So therefore, here I have used in that context where it doesn't mean teacher. And you will see some people who persist on using this as teacher. And currently it's not incorrect. Maybe let's see what will happen in the future, but currently it's not incorrect. It is acceptable, it is used, and you will see the particular usage in many, many, many books. So here you see the spelling ge with ragatakana ge. But this is also used for someone when we refer to them as a senior, or with respect, or someone who is elderly. Lasso. Gela tutre manaro. Ngatsu limite kankyo leptopar chayi. Let me repeat this. Lasso. Gela tutre manaro. Ngatsu limite kankyo leptopar chayi. Okay. Please don't worry, sir. Now you see the word sir. And the word sir is because of the word gela. It doesn't mean teacher here. It's a more respectful. And you'll see that when Tibetan people, when they visit the monasteries, they refer to all the monks as Genla. And also amongst the monks, if it's a senior monk, you use the word Genla. So the younger will use Genla for the senior monks. Lasso. Genla tute manaro. So here it means sir, someone who is elder than you, or someone that you give respect to. Tuktel is used here as an honorific because semtel is the more casual, colloquial, whereas the honorific would be tuktel. Sem, tuk, tel is the same. Genla tute manaro. Ngansu lemi te kangyo leptopar chayire. Okay, please don't worry, sir. Our staff will be there as soon as possible. So kangyo means as soon as possible. Okay. La kadinche tusum dele. Lasso tusum dele. So tusum dele is a is a sort of a greeting. You can also use it when meeting someone, when you see someone and you want to greet them, tusum dele, which means have a nice day. Or in that context, it means I wish you a nice day, or I hope you're having a nice day. Depends on the situation. If you're using it if you're using it as a farewell, then it means I have a nice day. So laso la kadinche. Okay, thank you. Tusum dele, have a nice day. Lasso, okay. Tusum dele, have a nice day. So you saw a usage of these phrases in a day-to-day conversation. You can do the same here. The way it has been done here, you can do the similar usage in your conversation. Like I said, everything that is introduced here, you must assess by yourself. You must analyze, and then you must adopt in order to create that Tibetan conversation, which is personally yours. And the pronunciation and clarity will come after speaking many times, after reading a lot. That is a different case entirely. But the way of structuring, the way of words that you're going to integrate in your own Tibetan will depend on these things, whether you're going to use these phrases. And you see that normally people don't use these phrases. You can see in normal, it's not that it's not a phrase that can be used in normal conversation. It's just that the very environment and the very impact and influence that has happened during the 3 generations in exile, you can see that the colloquial language has declined substantially in the exiled Tibetan community. And the normalization of the normalization of the Tibetan language that is being spoken in the exiled Tibetan has been quite, to say in the standard, it has been quite detrimental. It has been declining for many years. So you see that many of these you can use. It is not improper. But many of these things, when you integrate in your own speaking, you will feel that you are standing out from many other people in not a bad way, but in a good way, that you are speaking a more clear, a more clean, a more, you're using words which are more better in our day-to-day conversation than many of the people. So therefore, it entirely depends on yourself to whether integrate these in your conversation or not. Okay, so the word, first one is go, good, go, good. Carve, to carve something on wood, to carve something on the stone. Good, carved, past tense, good. Will carve, and imperative, carve. Ho, dedicate, good. Dedicated, ho. Will dedicate, good. Imperative form, to dedicate. Or kwok, which means to tear something, to uproot something. Kwok, to have tore or uprooted something. Kwok, will tear, and kwok, imperative to tear something. Then rely, then relied, then will rely, then imperative rely. Chik, fear, shik, feared, shik, will fear, shik. Fear, a command, sort of command saying that fear me. So yeah, this is shik. Lasso. Now this is the second example where we see a dialogue between the 2 most popular people in our lesson, Tsiringla and Tashila. So Tashila, Kamsan. So we're greeting. Tashila, I wish you good health. Kamsan. Tsiringla kusu debo yinbe. Let me repeat this. Kamsan. Tsiringla kusu debo yinbe. Wish you a good health too, Tsiringla. Is your health good? La nga debo yin. Kirang kangtra tu. La nga debo yin. Kirang kangtra tu. Yes, I am fine. How are you? La nga yan debo yin. Yes, I too am fine. La nga yan debo yin. Yes, I too am fine. Jisam tundru onwar khan che guki retam. Jisam tundru onwar khan che guki retam. What should we do to fulfill all our wishes? La. Jisam tundru shebate onwar nge samna zo chagin ni sang guki re. La. Jisam tundru shebate onwar nge samna zo chagin ni sang guki re. Okay. I think to fulfill all our wishes, there are two main factors. La khan retam. Kike lamde nang. Chitra khantra shinang ro. La khan retam. Kike lamde nang. Chitra khantra shinang ro. Okay, what are those? Please instruct me in whatever and whichever best manner. So we have used the word chitra khantra here also. Laso. Tomar. Lo cho shetan nibani. Chawa khan chekap. Kunlo sangbo gugire. Laso. Tomar. Lo cho shetan nibani. Chawa khan chekap. Kunlo sangbo gugire. Okay. First, one must have a mind of contentment, meaning that one must be content with things. And second, one must have a good intention for accomplishing something. Laso, tadung shen khan yure tam. So tadung is a word, what else? What upon this? Laso, tadung shen khan yure tam. Yes, and what else should one do? Tadung, pame long chu chebatang, len yenba kangchung mengchung che mirung. Tadung, pame long chu ma chebatang, len yenba kangchung mengchung che mirung. Upon that, refraining from unwholesome consumptions and not doing whatever to commit unwholesome deed. So here we see the usage of the word pame longchu, which is the unwholesome consumption, and kangchung mengchung, which means whatever. Laso, samba lundrup de kuncho tang rangi ka la ten mindu ke. Laso, samba lundrup de kuncho tang rangi ka la ten mindu ke. Okay, doesn't the spontaneous fulfillment of one's wishes depend on oneself too, as well as on the three gems? La theka rare. Mitse na to kap mangpor chicha tueme kurki rete. Simshu macha ne mutu bezuen chena. La tezum chungya meto. La theka rare. Mitse na to kap mangpor chicha tueme kurki rete. Simshu macha ne mutu bezuen chena. Rumje sambo onwala. Yes, that is exactly the case. In life, we will be faced with many situations in which we will be uncertain of what to do. But we should persevere without losing hope. And so there will be no uncertainty on receiving a good result. So here we see the usage of the phrase chicha tulme, not uncertain of what to do. Laso, thega ran retu katinche. Okay, that is exactly how it is. Thank you. Laso, indain. Okay, of course. Okay, so in this example too, we see the usage of these phrases. And these phrases, when used when we listen to this, let me repeat this sentence, because I've used, I'll read this sentence and this sentence, and you can see that integrating these in our daily conversation, because they are supposed to be there. It's just that many of us aren't using it. They sound very good. It sounds very nice. So, tadung pame longchu ma che batang, lega kangchung mangchung che mirung. Okay, so la tega rare mitse nang tu kap mangbo chicha tueme kurki re te semshu macha ne mutu bezuen chena rumje sangbo onwala tezum chungya meto. So mitse nang tu kap mangbo chicha me kyurkire. So we see that using this, not only does it make the sentence more structured, it also helps us in using less words. So you see the usage here. Okay, so the new words. First one is tundup, which means spontaneous, fulfilling, so spontaneously fulfilling. Paume means unwholesome. Longju means consumption. So let me add the words here. Spontaneous tundup. Yes, spontaneous means spontaneous fulfill. Tundup. Paume means unwholesome. Longju means consumption. Chokshe means contentment. Beizue means perseverance. Gunlong means intention. Jitra means whatever is best. Jisam means whatever is taught. Kangchung means whatever is available. And tul means certainty. And chicha tul me means not certain, no certainty, uncertain. So chicha tul me, uncertain of what to do. Okay, so let us go to the idioms for today's class. The first one is kada nanyam. Kada, which means same black, meaning same as a black crow, meaning that one is not, for example, to say that one is not different, that one was the assailant, one was the partner, one is similar to the other person. Not in a sense of equality or something. You will understand this. This is something that is used in a more negative sense. So this idiom is used in order to tell someone that they are the same as everyone. Everyone, not in a general sense. Everyone that has been convicted, that has been labeled to have to have done something which is wrong. The example of black color of the crow is to emphasize the uniformity of having faults or not being perfect, or in certain situations, it can be understood as the English phrase partner in crime. So there is a more general understanding of this term, where it may be understood in similar way of saying that we are all equal, that we have fault, but it should also be understood that when associating with a particular person, it means that the person is an assailant or is a partner in crime, that they have the same fault, they have the same responsibility of doing the wrong thing as all the rest. Kasang kuma kuwar kyotang konyi kada nanyam re. Kasang kuma kuwar kyotang konyi kada nanyam re. You and him both are same as a black crow in the theft yesterday, meaning that both of you are the partner in crime, meaning that you are not different from him. It is not that that person has stole and you were just sitting there doing nothing and that you're innocent. No, both of you are same as a black crow, meaning that both of you are same, that both of you are convicted in the similar manner. The second example is kutsur tragyap, which means hitting fist on the boulder. This idiom means to fight a battle that cannot be won. The fist is an example for one's full extent of effort, and the boulder is the opposition or challenge, meaning there is also another example, similar idiom that say margi thalakyap or margi tila shuba, which means hitting the butter on a knife. It doesn't matter if you're striking the knife with the butter or you're striking the butter with the knife. At the end, the butter will be the thing that is being cut. So similar meaning is said here, meaning that it is like hitting your fist on the boulder. At the end, your fist will be broken, not the boulder. So the boulder always wins. Khodan chala zingyuni o kutsur tra gyabatan chiksonre Tama rangi le kola neba kaya sheki mare. So fighting him is like hitting fist on a boulder. No one but you yourself will be harmed at the end. Okay, so with this, we're done with today's lesson. So if anyone has question, I will be able to answer one question. So does anyone have any question regarding today's lesson of phrase? For example, if certain phrase is not clear, or you might have another usage of the case phrase that you have seen that you want me to clarify. So if you have any question, please ask away. I have time for one question today. Yes, I will try that. It is so what I can do is that I could later, if that is the case, that is the case with everyone, that some of the explanations are too fast, then what can be done is that we can reduce the number of dialogues and then pay more attention on each dialogue to explain or elaborate the explanation on each dialogue, rather than so to make the conversation a little less, so that each dialogue could be explained in a more detail. So yes, I will try that if that is the common common perception, meaning that everyone has the problem in the similar way, that everything. So if it is the definitions or the descriptions are done too fast, meaning that there must be more detail provided, more examples are needed for each case, then that could also be done. So if that is the case, then we will do the changes in accordance. That's so. So, any questions? Do we have any questions? Yes, so let me give so for example, like the words, the thing is that we're trying, so the question that was asked, which is what are the substitute, what are the things that are used in place? The problem is that many of these are not even used. That the concept of using such statement like spontaneous fulfillment of wish is not there in the more common conversation. Meaning that, as it may sound quite depressing, but the fact that people are not able to say the word spontaneous fulfillment of wish. And that is in the more younger generation. I'm not talking about the previous generation. Definitely few of them do speak with Tibetan, but it's with the younger generation. And the problem is not having the problem is not being substituted. If it's substituted by something, that's also something. They can say, at least we have something that we can use for this. No. They'll either use something in other language, or probably they will not even say something like this, because they don't have idea of how to say it. So that is the problem in most of these cases. And then, yes, so that is the case in many of the settlement. They don't even have the idea of how to say this particular thing. Like, for example, Jijatume. They have no idea how to say this. And they will be saying it. They'll try to convey that particular meaning, but then going roundabout, they'll just write an entire essay to describe this particular thing. So they'll just beat around the bush because they don't have the exact words. And this is something that you can actually observe if many of you can just talk to people in the settlement and see how many of them actually uses these phrases. And just because someone is not using it doesn't mean that they are not integral part of the conversation. That is actually. And like I said, it is entirely dependent on oneself, on whether they want to integrate it in their day-to-day life, a conversation. If they want to stick to the more current contemporary way of speaking, then they can do it that too. But this is an option. So these phrases are an option to integrate in your Tibetan language. So there is many cases, in most of the cases, probably in all of these, you'll see that there isn't. The word Kangjumangju have survived the exiled Tibetans. So you see that this is used. This is being used. So, and then also to be understood that I'm talking about in the more modern times. I'm not talking about the entire population of Tibetan exile community not being able to use this, because that would be a very stupid statement. That means that I would be the only one that could speak this. This is not the case. There are many people who use it. But when it comes to the more younger generation, children who are being raised in this current generation, children who are raised outside India, so many of them are oblivious to these phrases. So yes, that is the case. But don't take my word on the face value. Try speaking with younger generation Tibetans. And if that is not the case, then you can bring me the argument and we can discuss on it further. That's all. So this is it for today, and thank you very much for participating. And I hope every one of you were able to benefit from this lesson as much as I enjoyed teaching it. And please look at these phrases. Try to integrate these in your day-to-day language. Doesn't matter. Just try it. Next time when you're speaking to some Tibetan-speaking people, some person who speaks Tibetan, try using this phrase and try integrating them in your conversation. And then if you could actually explain it to them, that is even a better thing. I mean, it is a language, so therefore, doesn't matter who preserves it. It needs to be preserved. The goal is to preserve it. So therefore, please revise, and if you have questions, please ask them in the group. So I will answer to them. Some of the assignments that have been sent, I have not been able to check them. It has been very long for some of the assignment. So I apologize for the delay. I will get to them as soon as possible. So please have a little bit more patience with me. And so I will send the answers as soon as possible. And the new assignments will be provided. And those of you who want to practice speaking, you can record and send it to me. I may not be answering it directly. I will answer them eventually. This is something that I can promise. So it may take time. But the thing is that at the end of the day, you will receive a feedback from me. It won't be left like this. It might be left like this for a month, but it won't be left like this forever. I will answer to this eventually. So please make sure you ask me questions, and if there is certain thing that you want me to check the pronunciation, even if you're practicing reading, read them, record them, send it to me. Make sure you send it to me, and so that I can take a time and answer them later, whenever that later is. But I will eventually send a feedback, so you can listen to them, and then you can improve your reading also. Better reading means better clarity, better pronunciation. So your Tibetan will sound much better. So this is it for today. Thank you very much for joining in. And I hope every one of you have a wonderful day, afternoon, noon, and evening, wherever you are. And Tashidali to everyone. And I will see you, every one of you, for the next conversation class. Lasso.